Why teachers deserve more money. From teaching our children to assisting in raising them, teachers should be among the highest paid professions around. It should be on par with what people assume doctors and lawyers make. If you were to Google right now what the salary was of a doctor or even a lawyer, you will see that it ranges from about $100,000 or more, with $100,000 being at the least. However, it's drastically lower for that of a teacher. I always ask myself, well, who taught these doctors and lawyers to be doctors and lawyers? And then I remember, oh yeah, a teacher does. How is it possible that a doctor or a lawyer can make more than a teacher when they needed a teacher to get to where they needed to be? Teachers are not just here to babysit our children. These teachers go above and beyond to care for and nurture our children. Some children grow up, these same children that grow up to be the figureheads, telling them that they don't deserve to make more money. I'm here to show you why teachers do deserve to make more money as well. To begin, teachers buy their own supplies for their classroom materials. It's widely known that teachers do in fact pay for their own supplies for the classroom with their own money. Students of all grades lose, break, and forget their supplies all the time. So in order to ensure that class continues, most of the time these teachers will have a stash of supplies somewhere in the classroom already. At the beginning of the school year, the teacher will usually make sure that they give the parents a school supply list to help with this issue. We all remember that good old school supply list. Schools that have a lower budget tend to have less resources. So teachers still end up spending more than they should on the necessary school supplies that they need for their students anyway. According to Madeline Will in her article, Class Resources, Public School Teacher Spending on Classroom Supplies, in the 2014-2015 school year, 94% of public school teachers spent their own money on the classroom with no reimbursement. According to another article by the name of AFT Issues, Statement on Report showing teachers spending for school supplies from their own pocket. On average, teachers spend about $459 of their own money each year to make sure the class has things like chalk, pencils, and crayons. Unfortunately, while the conditions of salaries and other issues they may have, this is causing teachers to quit the profession. Without teachers, doctors wouldn't be doctors and lawyers wouldn't be lawyers. Majority of the things we learn as kids are from teachers. By the time kids make it home, parents are there to help with refreshers and to make sure these things stick. I'm not saying that parents don't have their own important roles as well. However, it's time to shine the light on how much teachers actually do. Teachers see kids of all kinds and of many different backgrounds. When kids come to school and the teacher notices that the child is not acting like themselves, they then become counselors for these students. Most times, students form deep connections with these kinds of teachers. They begin to confide in them and look up to them. When there's a problem that the student have that they may not be able to tell their parent, or that their parent is the problem, they may feel comfortable enough to tell that teacher. Teachers at times go from being teachers to counselors to social workers and more. These students look up to most teachers and strive to be just like them, almost in the same way of that of a parent. It kind of reminds me of the movie Matilda. Matilda had horrible parents, so she got really close to her teacher, who clearly loved her as if she was her own. And of course, that's just the movie, but it's a good example about how teachers go above and beyond for their students. A teacher that has a good relationship with their student can be critically important to how well those students learn as well. According to the author, Sarah Sparks, in her article, Why Student-Teacher Relationships Matter, new findings shed light on best approaches. A review of educational research analysis of 46 students found that strong teacher-student relationships were associated in both short and long-term improvement in student academics of all kinds. This includes attendance, fewer disruptions, and lower dropout rates. Just thinking back to when I was in school as a kid, When we had a teacher that was the cool teacher, it wasn't the teacher that let us do anything in class. We didn't like that teacher. It was the teacher that was firm but fair. The one that we felt like we could tell anything to, even if we would get in trouble for it. That was the teacher that was loved and respected. There was an article put out by an author named Trenton Hansen called All Because of My Teacher, that mentioned that teachers who have the ability to transform lives have a positive influence in the child's life, outside of their own family circle, that is. He goes on to talk about a 12th grader named Lupita, who shared her story about a teacher who has a close relationship with who she has a close relationship with. Lupita mentioned that her teacher, Mrs. Jenkins, was the first teacher who had the confidence in her abilities as a student. It's moments like that that makes teachers so great. This student just needed someone to believe in her, and sometimes that's all it takes. Aside from believing in their students, teachers also have to be protectors. Recently, there have been more and more school shootings. While the student is at school, that teacher becomes the one that cares for the child, while the parent is at work. Unfortunately, during these shootings, teachers have to do all they can to make sure that these students feel protected in these situations. Unfortunately, this does not always happen. I know we've all heard of the recent shooting that happened a couple weeks ago in Texas at Robb Elementary. In this very sad situation, an 18-year-old boy shot and killed 19 students and 2 adults of this elementary school. According to the article, Gun Control: Should the United States adopt stronger gun control laws? This marked the second deadliest shooting in the U.S. following the previous one that happened in December of 2012, which killed 26 people. Among these 26 people, 20 of them were students aged 6 and 7. What a horrible nightmare. They never even got a chance to be great. Upon going to school to be a teacher, we never thought that, having to protect 20 or so children from a mass shooting would have to be in the curriculum to be a teacher. If there's no training for this situation, then what do? How do you keep these kids safe? Recently, creating a hiding place in classrooms have been the way to go. However, how do we get these students out to be in a better place other than inside the school where the shooter is? According to the article, a third of U.S. teachers want gun control after deadly Florida shooting. Former President Donald Trump suggested that teachers get training and arming in order to prevent school shootings. I guess we're fighting fire with fire. However, only 7% of teachers all over want to carry guns to school, and others do not. And the others do not. They don't want to do this. It's sad to think that the only other option we may have is to carry guns to an elementary school to feel safe. Yet, our teachers come to work every day and put on a brave face for these children. Plenty of teachers that have spoken out about how they feel about this situation mention that they are terrified. School is supposed to be a safe place where parents can send their children while they go to work, where a child can learn and to grow around people they know and feel comfortable with. How are these brave teachers still able to keep going in spite of all this? I'll tell you how. These teachers love what they do, and they love these students. In conclusion, teachers go above and beyond for their students, and always have. They deserve to get paid enough to do so. Teachers should not have to spend their own money on materials and supplies for the classroom. That should be something that's provided by the school, and it should be in a supply room in the school. I've never worked at a job where I had to bring my own pens and printer paper and things like that. However, whether they want to bring special supplies should be a choice, not a necessity. Our teachers are molding our kids' young brains to grow up and be special. They're trying their very best to keep them in a safer place, they're safe in the face of danger, and being a helping hand when need be. If we're going to continue to put our teachers through as much as they go through, then they deserve
more money.